Damn Israel, no matter where you are.
So now I'm leaning and depending on the fact that he died for me. I'm so grateful.
Are you grateful, Israel?
I'm so thankful.
Are you faithful, Israel?
I was in my sin, couldn't get out. Then he sent his son to bring me out. I'm so grateful. I'm so thankful. I was in my sin, I couldn't get out.
Shalom Aleichem, my sister. How you doing? Keep on there. Keep on fighting the good fight. The time will come for deliverance. Just keep on fighting. Don't give up. May Abba Yahweh be with you.
'Cause I ain't stand a chance with the way that I was living. I ain't stand a chance, so ain't thinking about me. So now I'm leaning and depending on the fact that he died for me. I'm so grateful. I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful. I was in my sin, couldn't get out. Sent his son to bring me out. I'm so grateful. I'm so thankful. Oh, look what he did. I was in my sin, couldn't get out. Oh yeah, he sent his son to bring me out. See, I was in trouble and I needed someone to help me out. Oh yeah.
Where I know the children of Israel, it's time to wake up from your stupid. Stop to follow Yahweh command. If you love me, obey my commandment. Should the children of Israel celebrate July the 4th? And let's stay tuned to see if he was commanded for the children of Israel to celebrate the pagans' holidays.
I'm so thankful. Oh yeah, couldn't get out. He sent his son to bring me out. I'm so grateful, so grateful. I'm so thankful. I was in my sin, I couldn't get out. Yeah, he sent his son to bring me out. Oh, yeah. Look at what he did, 'cause he didn't have to do it. He could have made some new people and said, forgive them, but he didn't do that. No, he put on his flesh and he came and got up on the cross and gave his life.
Oh yes, you have to do it. The joystick and follow YAHUWEH MESSIAH daily. Stop by celebrating pagans' holidays. It's a time for the children of Israel to come out of her. If you do not want to be partaker in a sin and to share in a praise. Today is a day, my friend. Where are the true chosen from the house of Israel? This is Yahweh time. The spirit of Yahweh, not the spirit of July the 4th.
Spirit of Yahweh,
not the spirit of July the 4th.
Fill my life.
Yes, thank you, Abba Yahweh.
Oh, fill my soul and my whole being.
The spirit of Yahweh.
The Spirit of Yahweh.
Not the spirit of Satan, but the spirit of Yahweh.
Oh, fill my life. Oh, fill my soul and my whole being.
The spirit of Yahweh.
Oh, fill me with all your praise.
presence.
all your power
And feel
your
love. The Spirit of Yahweh. Not the spirits. Do not chase every spirit.
Feel my life.
But test the spirit.
Oh, feel my soul and my whole being. The Spirit of Yahweh.
To all my beloved children of Israel, no matter where you are tonight, the word of Yahweh say, my beloved, do not trust every spirit, but test the spirit. Do not be afraid of testing the spirit to see where the spirit is coming from, Yahweh. Because many spirits has already gone to this world. My beloved, listen to the word of Yahweh. Do not trust any spirit. Do not trust every spirit, but test the spirit to see if the spirit is coming from Yahweh. For many false prophets has already gone out of this world. Many false prophets. Do not be afraid to test the spirit. Before you accept the spirit, test the spirit before. For many false prophets has already gone out of this world. Should the children of Israel celebrate July the 4th? Stay tuned to see what the scripture has to say about July the 4th, the celebration of independence of the United States of America, the biggest deceptions ever. Stay tuned to hear the conclusions, the matter of July the 4th. Let's praise Yahweh. Let's worship Abba Yahweh. Let's make Abba Yahweh hear our voice. Oh yes. Let's make Abba Yahweh hear our voice. No matter where you are, the children of Israel. No matter where you are tonight. No matter what the circumstances, be content. Be content in whatever the circumstances might be. Oh yes, thank you, Abba Yahweh.
Captivated by your healing sky.
Yes.
We yearn for your heart.
There is no one
There's no one like Yahweh.
like Yahweh. There is no one, and there will never be no one.
Worthy to be praised.
Oh yes, hallelujah. There is no one can be compared to Yahweh.
Standing in your throne. With a broken violin.
The children of Israel, no matter where you are, in the four corners of the earth, remember why no one can be just like Yahweh. Trump, Obama, no matter what it is, trust no man. Don't put your trust in princes. Don't put yourself in government. Don't trust no man. Trust Yahweh. Put all your trust. Let Yahweh be the banner of your life. Come on, children of Israel. Stop your car and praise Abba Yahweh. For those who are in ignorance, may Abba Yahweh forgive you. But for those who are arrogant, may Abba Yahweh discipline you for your sin, destroy you. There is no cloud, there can be never Mika Moka. No one can be just like Yahweh. Why children of Israel celebrate July the 4th? Do there is any comment from Yahweh for the children of Israel to participate on the pagans festival? What makes the July the 4th so important? Why celebrate Independence Day of America when they call you African Americans? Why you have to celebrate July the 4th when they call you Jamaicans Americans? Why you have to celebrate July the 4th when they call you Haitians Americans? Know your limitation, Israel. Know who you are, Israel. You are wandering and you are confused. There is no one, there is no one. There is no one just like Yahweh. Only Yahweh can be Yahweh. Children of Israel, no matter where you are, this is the time now. Don't let nobody say in your way. Don't be stumbled. Don't let nobody say in your way. Push him.
I don't need love.
I don't need none.
Stumbling block
No stumbling block, whatever you are.
around me.
I don't want no negative spirit around me.
I need peace, love.
Yes, the spirit of Yahweh is peace and love and joy and kindness and gentleness,
Time.
patience and long suffering.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Ooh. No drama.
No drama. Are you want a drama in your life?
Oh,
I don't want no drama. I don't need.
drama.
I don't know about you myself, but I don't need them.
No stumbling blocks.
No stumbling
around
blocks.
me.
I don't want none of them.
No stumbling blocks around me.
I don't want none.
I'm about peace.
About peace.
Joy and love.
Peace, joy, and love.
I don't need no stumbling blocks around me.
Should the children of Israel celebrate July the 4th? What is the reason behind the secret behind July the 4th?
To flee from me.
Did Abba recommend the children of Israel to celebrate July the 4th? What is the verse? What is scripture?
Trying to cause you to stumble. And when you're walking that narrow road,
That's right.
staying focused on the Most High. The enemy will use somebody to get a higher off your mind. I see why Moses got upset.
Why he was upset?
He couldn't go into the land.
Because you are stupid.
Israel causing him to stumble.
Israel caused him to be stumbled.
Died on that mountain.
Think about that. Think about that, my friend. What was happened to Moses? Think what's happened to Moses. Why Moses do not go to the promised land because of Israel, because of disobedience of the children of Israel. So it's to show you how the children of Israel are no good. So everybody has to listen to the children of Israel and don't take the children of Israel very seriously because they are wicked, they are rebellious, and they are refused to listen to Yahweh. This is the time for the children of Israel to observe it, to listen to the truth. If not, my friends, you're going to be in trouble.
I don't need love.
How about you? Do you want any stumble block in your life? I don't want no negative spirit around me. I need one who taking positives.
All the time.
If you have a negative spirit around you, you will never be progress. You will never move forward. Don't let no negative spirit around you. Cast them out of your sight.
No stumbling blocks around me. I don't need no stumbling blocks around me.
I don't need.
I'm about peace.
I'm about peace, joy, and love.
I don't need no stumbling blocks.
I don't need no stumble block about you, my friend.
I command evil.
I'm coming evil. Oh yes, flee from me by the power of Yahushuah Mashiach. Who flee from me.
When you're trying to do the right thing,
come on.
it's
Always gonna be stumble block.
somebody out there.
Oh yes, try to extend your way. Push them away from you.
And when you're walking that narrow road, staying focused on the Most High.
If your white eyes try to make you stumble, cut them up and throw it away. It is better to go into the kingdom. Why?
He couldn't go into the land.
Why?
Israel caused him to stumble.
Israel caused him to stumble.
He died on that mountain.
Did that tell you anything about Israel?
That kingdom.
Really?
I'm working on my own salvation.
Tell me about it.
Staying ready to lead. To get that crown from YAHUWEH.
Really?
So I don't need no stumbling blocks around me.
Talk is cheap.
About peace, joy, and love.
Actions speak louder than words.
I don't need no stumbling blocks.
No stumbling block in my. I don't
I
need.
command evil and wickedness to flee.
In the name of Yahushuah Mashiach,
Evil and wickedness
to flee from me. How about you, my friend?
Sometimes I walk with a higher hello. I keep my circle real small.
You get to.
With the one walking the shadow. Teaching me all day long.
What did you teach you?
Cause I don't need nobody around me.
Really?
Causing me to stumble. With all that trauma and confusion. I'm self-controlled and humble.
Really?
You know what I'm saying? People can say what they want.
That's right.
But I
Talk
enjoy
is
my own
cheap.
company.
Of course, yes. Talk is cheap, but actions speak louder than words.
Along with the Most High.
Actions. You can speak all you want, but I will show you my actions. Anybody can talk. Talk is very cheap.
Cause me to stumble.
Nobody can make me stumble. Nobody.
Say I don't need it. I'm about peace, joy, and love.
Yes.
I don't need no stumbling blocks around me.
No stumble block.
I command evil
I commend it.
and
Evil.
wickedness to flee.
Evil and wickedness
Evil and wickedness.
to flee from me. Hallelujah. Today there is so many misinterpretations. So many people can say, I will. I want to do it. But they never do nothing. We all fall short to the esteem of Yahweh because we are all sinners. But remember, talk is cheap. It's not to say I don't want any persons to make me stumble. For me, so I say to you, if your right hand stop you or make you stumble, cut it off and throw it away. If your right eyes make you stumble or stop you from enter into the kingdom of Yahweh, cut it off and throw it away. It is better to enter into the kingdom of Yahweh with one member missing and all your body do not throw in the lake of fire. If your left hand try to make you stumble, cut it off and throw it away. Not even you cut it off and you have to throw it away. It is better for you to enter the kingdom of Yahweh with one member missing instead of for all your body to throw on the lake of fire. I love that song. Let's listen to that song one more time. Because I don't need nobody to be stumble block in my life. I don't want no negative spirit around me. If anybody have any spirit, I don't want that guy's spirit around me. I want people taking positives.
Oh, yeah.
But where you are tonight, I do not know if you are going to need anybody.
Stumbling block.
Some always love that. I know some people who love drama. I don't need no drama. I don't need no summer block in my life. Yahweh say kadosh. If Yahweh set apart, you must be also set apart. You don't use people who do not believe. You have to be around people who have the same belief with you.
No drama.
No drama.
Oh, I don't need
No drama. About you, my friend. I don't need that.
I don't need no stumbling blocks around me.
I don't need.
I'm about peace.
I'm about peace, joy, and love. The fruit of the Spirit of Yahweh.
No stumbling blocks around me.
Are you need stumbling block around you?
I command evil and
Are you need any negative spirit around you? I don't need that. Messiah Yahshua set me free. I want to stay free indeed.
There's always gonna be
Always.
somebody out there trying to cause you to stumble.
Take note, the thief is coming not,
And when you're walking that narrow road,
but to steal, kill, and
focus on
destroy.
the Most High. The enemy will use somebody to get a higher off your mind. I see why Moses got upset.
Why?
He couldn't go into the land.
Because you are stupid.
Israel causing him to stumble.
Israel, rebellious
He
children.
died upon that mountain.
Are you learning
I'm not
anything?
trying to miss that kingdom.
You're not gonna miss it.
I'm working on my own salvation.
Really?
Staying ready to the end. To get that crown from Yeshua.
Remember, the spirit is willing,
I don't need
but the
no
flesh is
stumbling
weak.
blocks around me. Ooh, I'm about peace.
About peace, joy, and love.
That's all I'm about, yeah. I don't need no stumbling blocks around me.
I don't need it. Do you?
I don't need. I command evil.
I command evil and wickedness to flee.
Wickedness got to
In
get
the
out
name
my
of Yahshua HaMashiach, to flee from me.
Sometimes I walk with a higher alone.
Sometime.
I keep my circle real small.
Are you keep your circle very small?
Teaching me all day long.
Friend only cause you trouble
I don't
and
need
problems.
nobody around me.
The more you stay away from
Causing me to
friends,
stumble.
it's the more it's better for you.
All that trauma and confusion.
Your best friend is supposed to be Yahshua HaMashiach. The friend whoever never gonna
People
put
can
you in
say what they
trouble.
want, you know. But I enjoy my own company. You know
Oh,
what
I enjoy my own company.
Really?
Yes, I
I'm saying? The
do.
most high in the Wawak, you know what I'm saying?
Along with the Most High and the Wawak.
So I be doing my own thing, you know what I mean? I stay away from the confusion and the trauma.
All about that love. I don't need no stumbling
I'm no
blocks
one.
around
I don't need those stumble blocks around me.
I command evil.
I'm coming evil and wickedness to flee. Flee from me.
And wickedness to flee from me.
I'm coming every evil, no matter where you are, to flee from me. This is the time now for the children of Israel to know what time it is before it is too late. To all my brothers, Israelites, no matter where you are tonight, may Abba Yahweh peace and blessing be with all of you. Shalom Aleichem to all of you. I am Messenger Daniel. It is in the name of Yahuweh. Welcome back, Yahushua Ministries, to Shalom Aleichem, peace being today. Abba Yahweh, thank you to make it possible tonight for us to gather together in your name. And thank you, Abba Yahweh, for all the viewers, for all those who want to listen to you, Abba Yahweh. Thank you for everything. Thank you for those who cannot wait the time, Abba Yahweh, to listen to your words. Because your word is true. And you are the truth. And you are the way. And you are the life. Thank you, Abba Yahweh. It is by your power, let your will be done on earth as it is right now in paradise. Abba Yahweh, to those who are going to listen to you, who are willing to give up the negative thought, those, Abba Yahweh, who refuse to be stumbled by the negative spirit, for those who are possessed, or those who are discouraged because of what's going on in their life today, I'm asking Abba Yahweh, no matter what sadness, no matter what is inside of them, Abba Yahweh, I'm asking you in the name of YAHUWEH HaMashiach to remove that bad spirit away from those who are possessed by those negative spirits to make them stumble. Abba Yahweh, open up their mind. Those who ever hears Abba Yahweh will never be listened to your words. But for all those tonight who are willing to be obedient, to listen to your words, every mercy, every compassion upon them. Abba Yahweh, sent your angels everywhere in the world. I'm asking you to be favorable towards your people Israel and turn this service to their prayer, this service, to the set place of your temple, Abba Yahweh. Speedily accept the fine offering of Israel and their prayer with love and favor. And may the service of your people, Israel, always be favorable to you, Yahweh, my rock and my redeemer, in the name of Yahshua HaMashiach. Abba Yahweh, open up my lips. May my mouth may declare your praise. In the name of Yahshua HaMashiach. Hallelujah. Shalom Aleichem to all of you. The topic tonight is, should the children of Israel celebrate July the 4th? What is the reason for the children of Israel observe and obey this 4th of July? Should Abba Yahweh command the children of Israel is okay to celebrate July the 4th? Where is the verse where it is reading, Abba Yahweh command the children of Israel is okay to participate in any pagan's holidays? Many are fulfilled with anticipations for what they believe is a day of remembrance, known as Independence Day. July 4th is filled with fireworks, parties, drinking, barbecue, watching parades, etc. But is any of the scripture? Does Yahweh, your Creator, approve the celebration of July 4th? If you are an Israelite, can you celebrate a holiday of independence if you are not from the land? YAHUWEH-YAHUSHUA-MINISTRIES and your scripture teachers, Messenger Daniel Island, invite you to turn into Facebook Live. Discover in July 4th is day to celebrate according to the scripture, or what is the meaning of July the 4th? Do you really want to know the origin of July the 4th? 1 Thessalonians 5:21 stated, to prove all things and all fast what is good. 1 Thessalonians 5:21 stated, to prove all things, not some things, but prove all things, and hold fast to what is good. Should the children of Israel celebrate or participate in July the 4th, Independence Day of America? Most people never reflect on what they believe. What they believe or do, what they do in a world filled with pagan populace, custom, tradition, and holidays, as July 4th. Few seek to understand the origin of July the 4th. Most generally accept common religious practice without questions. Accept common religion without practice. Choosing to do what everyone else does because it is easy, natural, and comfortable. They can be and stop. Must follow along as they have been taught, assuming what they believe and do is right. They take their beliefs for granted and never take time to prove them. As 1 Thessalonians prove all things. The July the 4th is in the scripture? No. Nowhere is the more true than in the observance of July the 4th, supposed Christians' holidays. Many millions kept the July 4th without knowing why or where July the 4th originated from. Most suppose that they are finally in the scripture because millions of professing Christians observing the July the 4th. Surely, hundreds of million people cannot be wrong, or can they be? Here is what Messiah YAHUWEH say about July the 4th. And then do the worship me, teaching for doctrine the commandment of men, full well you rejected the commandment of Yahweh, that you may keep your own tradition as July the 4th. The book of Mark, 7th chapter, verse 7 through 9. Messiah YAHUWEH blatantly condemned the celebration of July the 4th as hidden custom. The proof is overwhelming that July the 4th is a traditional and commandment of men. Based vast multitudes obey the July the 4th anywhere, simply content to worship Yahweh in vain. Since the scripture condemn this almost uncertainly observe Christianity holidays of men, how did they come into July the 4th, Independence Day? Independence Day for whom? The slave members, or for the slave masters, or for those slaves? You must be willing to open up your scripture and honestly to accept what is said about the holidays of men as July the 4th. And fathers, sons, and about Yahweh set apart feasts. It been almost universally taught that the commandment have been done away. Many have supposed Messiah YAHUWEH nailed the commandment to the cross. The will reads with prejudice anything that contradicts the assumptions. If you are going to take time to rest and to read the scripture, Should you not act, at least read it, with an open mind and without bias? Ask Abba Yahweh to guide you, to have you prove what he say in his word. 2 Timothy 3 chapter verse 16 stated, all scripture is inspired by Yahweh, is profitable for corrections, for rebuke, and to make one wise, and the righteousness for all who are willing to accept it, for all who truly want to serve and please Abba Yahweh. The scripture is Yahweh inspired word. Yahweh written instructions book to mankind. It answers every important questions in life and explain how to love and how to live a righteous life. The scripture reveals the word to salvation, not to destructions. Deuteronomy 8 chapter verse 3 is stated, let's go to 2 Timothy 2 chapter verse 15 first. 2 Timothy 2 chapter verse 15 commanded, a study to show yourselves approved into Yahweh, a workman that needs not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. Yahweh expects us to know his word so that we can act on his word according to his commandments. Proper scripture study leads to approvals from Abba Yahweh, both the Old and the New Testament. Deuteronomy 8 chapter verse 3. Yahweh humble you, causing you to hunger, and feeding you with manna, which neither you or your ancestors are known to chase. You that men do not live on bread alone, but in every word that came from the mouth of Yahweh. In the book of Matthew 4 chapter verse 4. But Messiah answered to Satan, it is written, men should not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of Yahweh. The book of Deuteronomy 32 chapter verse 47. Those commandments, they are not just empty words. For those who take it, the commandment of Yahweh as nothing but empty words, you make a big mistake. For you, they are your life. The commandment of Yahweh as your life. By obeying the commandment of Yahweh, you will enjoy a long life. And the land you will occupy where you cross the Jordan rivers. Almost 5,500 years ago, in the book of Genesis 15 chapter verse 13, then Yahweh said to Abraham, know for certain that for 400 years your descendants would be stranger in a land and a country not their own, and that they will be a slave and mistreated there. Listen carefully. The book of Genesis means the beginning. It's not something now. Genesis 15 chapter verse 13. Then Yahweh said to Abraham, know for certain that for 400 years your descendant will be a stranger in a country not their own, and that they will be a slave and mistreated there. I mean, they will be oppressed as a slave for 400 years. Exodus 12 chapter verse 40. Now the children of Israel live in Egypt for 430 years. Now the duration of the Israelites stay in Egypt. Egypt is a translation. The correct word in Hebrew is Misraim, mean the land of slave. Misraim. Egypt is the English for the word Egypt. Misraim mean the land of slave. Just like here in the United States of America is the second Misraim, physical Misraim. Second Egypt, Misraim. Genesis 17, chapter verse 8. The whole land of Canaan, where you now reside, as a foreigner. Listen. Genesis 17, chapter verse 8. Yahweh speak to Abraham. The whole land of Canaan, where you now reside, as a foreigner, not as a citizen, as a foreigner. I will give as an everlasting possession to you and your descendant after you, and I will be the creator of the Father. I, Yahweh, will establish my covenant as an everlasting covenant between me and you, and your descendant after you, to be your father, and to be the father of your descendant after you. My friends, Genesis 12, chapter verse 7. Then Yahweh appeared to Abraham and said, I will give the land of Canaan to your descendant. So Abraham built an altar there to Yahweh, who offered to him. Genesis 13, chapter verse 15. For all the land of Canaan, which you see, I will give it to you and to your descendant. The land of Canaan. Today, most people do not understand the meaning, the context, and where is the July the 4th is coming from. Yahweh told the children of Israel in the book of Jeremiah, 10th chapter verse 2. Do not follow the way of the heathens. Do not follow the custom. Do not practice what they practice. I warned the children of Israel 3,500 years ago in Mount Sinai. Do not do whatever you do the Egyptians doing. Do not follow them. Neither do not follow the way of the Canaanites people, where I'm going to give it to you, the land to live. Today, many millions of people going to celebrate July the 4th without knowing what is the meaning of July the 4th. If you are a foreigner and the land is not belong to you, if you are a slave, how come you participate in the holidays of your master as a slave? Why you have a barbecue, fireworks, watching footballs, firecrackers, everything? Why all those meaning? Did Abba recommend you to observe July the 4th? Where is on the scripture Abba recommend the children of Israel to celebrate July the 4th? Can anybody prove it? Which verse? Please tell me the verse. Did Abba say you must not follow the way of the heathens? Instead of for us to set apart, we mix with all the heathens, holidays, celebration. If July the 4th really exists, who make the July the 4th as a holidays? There's anywhere in the scriptures there. Should the children of Israel celebrate July the 4th. I don't see where in the scripture about it say, remember the Independence Day of America, July the 4th, to celebrate, to participate. But on the book of Exodus 20 chapter, verse 8 say, remember the Sabbath day to obey set apart. 6 days do your labor, but the 7 days is the day of Yahweh, your creator. Nowhere on the scripture about recommend the children of Israel, you must celebrate the Independence Day of a pagan country. You are a citizen of the United States of America? Let's see what the story, what is the secret behind the July the 4th. You are celebrated as a slave, as a foreigner. Israel is a time to know who you are, to know your limits. 3,500 years ago, the children of Israel had spent over 400 years enslaved in Egypt. They never participate in any Egyptian's holidays. Did Abel change? If you are of the house of Israel, why you have to follow the custom, the tradition, the holidays made by men in order to reject the commandment of your creator? When Messiah said 2,000 years ago, if you love me, obey my commandments. My friends, it is very sad for Israel do not know its limitation. For Israel do not know which days it is the memorials, which day of independence by Yahweh has been given to them. When we take the book of Exodus 13 chapter verse 8, the book of Exodus 13 chapter verse 8, on that day, April the 14th, tell your son, I celebrate the April the 14th because of what Yahweh did for me when I come out of the land of slavery. The book of Exodus 13 chapter verse 8 prove all things what day by Yahweh give the children of Israel to celebrate as the day of freedom, the day when Abba Yahweh rescue you from the land of Egypt. You're still in slavery. Your 400 years is not yet fulfilled. How can you can't thinking you are free to vote, free to asking for the same right when you are a stranger, you are a foreigner, you are a slave? Who told you Abba Yahweh give you the right to vote? To vote to whom when you are supposed to be a foreigner? When you are supposed to be a stranger of the land, when you are supposed to be a slave because of your disobedience, and now you have to march, you have to celebrate July the 4th. Who told you you must celebrate July the 4th? As a slave, when you celebrate July the 4th, why you celebrate July the 4th? Do you know the secrets behind July the 4th? As a slave, do you know your place? Do you know your positions? The book of Exodus 13 chapter verse 8. On that day, which day? April the 14th. Tell your sons, I celebrate the 14th day of the month of Abib because of what Yahweh did for me when Yahweh rescued me from the land of Egypt. Verse 9. This annual festival will be a visible sign to you, like a mark bounded in your hand and your forehead. Let it be remind you always that this law is Yahweh to be in your life. For Yahweh rescue you out of Egypt with his almighty hands. It's not on July the 4th. It was on the April the 14th when Yahweh rescued the children of Israel from the land of Egypt. Verse 10, therefore, you must observe these ordinances as the appointed time each year. Do it say July the 4th? You must celebrate July the 4th every year? No. But Yahweh say, therefore you must observe these ordinances the day of Abib the 14th at the appointed time each year. Why? Because this is the day of Abba Yahweh rescue you from the land of Mizraim, I mean the land of slave. But the children of Israel, you are still on slave. You do not even have length of the 400 years yet. How can you expect to be free? Can a slave have the same authority? Can a slave have the same right with his master? I don't think so. A slave, you're going to be slave until Abba Yahweh rescue you from slavery. Leviticus 24 chapter verse 23 chapter verse 4. Leviticus 23 chapter verse 4. These are Yahweh appointed feasts to you, Israel. To the set apart assembly, you are to proclaim as the appointed time. Israel, listen. Let's see if Abba Yahweh say it's okay to participate or to celebrate July the 4th. When you are on the land of your enemies, when you are slave on the land because of your rebellions, because of your stick naked, and now you thinking you can get the same right with your master. No. Leviticus 23 chapter verse 4. These are Yahweh appointed feasts, not holidays. Holidays is a man-made. This is Yahweh appointed feast to you, Israel. The set apart assembly, you are to proclaim at the appointed time, Israel. Verse 5, the Passover. Yahweh begin at twilight on the 14th day of the first month of Abib. Israel, you are there. Listen. Whoever get a ear to hear, please Abba Yahweh. Let them hear your truth, your words. Because all your words are truth. Leviticus 23 chapter verse 5. The Passover to Yahweh began at twilight on the 14th day of the first month of Abib, not on the 4th of July every year. The Passover is a remembrance to all the children of Israel. That is the night Abba Yahweh will rescue you from the end of Pharaoh on the lands of your slavery. 2 Kings 23 chapter verse 21. The king commanded the children of Israel observe the Passover, not July the 4th, of Yahweh your Creator, as it is written in this book in the covenant. 4th of July is not written on the covenant of Yahweh, but is still on the covenant of Satan with you. My friends, the king commanded the children of Israel observe the Passover on the 14th day of Abib, not to celebrate any Independence Day of July. If the children of Israel are to celebrate any Independence Day, they must celebrate Abib the 14th, because this is the day Abba Yahweh will rescue you. This is the day Abba Yahweh open up the Red Sea and let you go through it in order to rescue you from slavery. This is your Independence Day. The second Independence Day, if you have to celebrate, you should remember the Sabbath day to obey set apart. 6 days, you must do your labor and do all your work. But the 7 days is the day of Yahweh, your Creator. April the 14th, the night by Yahweh rescued the children of Israel from slavery. This is the time that I will set you free, Israel. It's not July the 4th. Abib the 14th. Know who you are, why you are here in the United States of America. The book of 1 Timothy, 1st chapter, verse 5, it states that the goal of our instructions is to live that love offerings very choice and clear conscience as a sincere faith. The goal of our instructions is to love that comes from a pure mind and a clear conscience and a sincere faith. July the 4th is not a good goal of our instruction. It's a bad goal for our destructions. It is the love that comes from a unpure mind, unclean conscience, and not with a sincere heart. My friends, millions keep the 4th of July Independence Day without knowing why or where July the 4th originated. Why some questions is observant. Of course, must see nothing wrong with such celebrations. Have you ever considered much less investigated why you believe as and practice what you do? The world is filled with endless customs and traditions, yet few seek to understand, to research the origin of July the 4th. Must go along together with the popular practice without any questions, choosing to do what anyone practices also does simply because it is easy. The majority all the same beliefs. They learn in childhood, assuming what they believe and do is right. They take their belief for granted and never take time to truly study to prove them. What is the origin of July the 4th? What does Yahweh say about it? You will be surprised to learn the truth that minister of prophecies Christianity either do not know or will not teach you. Among the children of Israel, Abba will command them to remember the Sabbath day and to keep it set apart. Not to remember July the 4th, to celebrate it, to make a barbecue, and then play with fireworks, doing whatever you please. In the book of Exodus 12, chapter verse 14, this is a day to remember. April the 14th, not July the 4th. This is the day each year, from generation to generations, you must celebrate the Passover as a special festival to Yahweh. This is a permanent ordinance. Listen, O Israel. Exodus, Shemot 12, chapter verse 14, stated. This is a day, which day? April the 14th, not July the 4th. Each year, from generation to generations, you must celebrate the Passover, not July the 4th, not Independence Day of your enemy who tried to tell you you are free when you are not yet free. A special festival, not holidays, festival to Yahweh. This is a permanent ordinance. April the 14th, this day, is to be a memorial day for you, Israel. And you must celebrate Passover, not Independence Day of America, not July the 4th. The day Abba will rescue you from the land of Mizraim, it was not July the 4th. The day Abba will free you from slavery, it's not July the 4th. It was April the 14th, when Abba will open up the Red Sea and set you free. If the Son Yahshua set you free, you are free indeed. Because a slave is going to be under master not forever, but a son will remain forever. Passover, you must celebrate Passover throughout your generations as a festival in my honor. When you celebrate July the 4th, you celebrate in which honor? Abraham Lincoln, Quincy Adams, Jefferson's? Which one? Remember this day, April the 14th, and celebrate Passover each year as a festival in my honor. When every July the 4th, the children of Israel, you celebrate July the 4th. And which honor? Which honor? You give honor to a flag? To idolize a flag? To barbecue? Fireworks? Watching footballs? Watching game? Maybe some parades? Israel, is the time to wake up. Exodus 12, chapter verse 17. So you are to observe the feast of Passover. For on this very day, on April the 14th, I brought you out of the land of Egypt. You must observe this day as a lasting ordinance for generations to come. I don't see July the 4th on here. Can you read Exodus 12, 17 to see if you see July the 4th? Which day Abba will rescue you from the land of Egypt? It was not July the 4th. It was on the 14th day of Abib. That's the time if you have to celebrate your independence, your freedom. That's the day Israel you must celebrate. Abib the 14th. The day Abba will open up the Red Sea and let you walk through it. And you look at you was free by the hand of the Almighty Yahweh with a servant Moshe. You are to observe the Passover, Israel, because on this very day I will rescue you, your tribes, out of the land of Mizraim. You must observe April the 14th, this day, throughout your generations as a perpetual festival. I don't see no holidays on July the 4th. Exodus 12, chapter verse 24. Remember, these instructions are a permanent commitment that you and your descendants must observe forever. You see July the 4th on the scripture? 1 Thessalonians 5:21 says, prove all things. And you are to obey this commandment as a perpetual ordinance for you and your descendant forever. It don't say you and your descendant must celebrate July the 4th. You are a slave. You are a foreigner. You are a stranger. Know who you are. My friends, when you enter the land that Yahweh will give you as Yahweh promised you, and to observe this festival. Which festival? Abib the 14th, not July the 4th. Nowhere on the scripture refer to July the 4th as the day of independence of the children of Israel. And festival Israel, the land Abba was given to you, is not the United States of America. You are confused. You are dreaming. You are on the self-delusions. You are on the darkness because you do not know who you are. You must know who you are, Israel. You are sleeping. It's time to wake up. Start by celebrate your master victory over the slave. It's not because they will set you free. The book of Exodus 13 chapter verse 10. Therefore you shall obey these ordinances as the appointed time year after year, Israel. My friends, Job 12 chapter verse 23. Yahweh make people great and destroy them. Yahweh enlarges people and send them away. In 1963, President Abraham Lincoln issued an Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st, 1863. As the national appointed his death in 12 years and bloody civil war. The proclamations of declare that all persons as a slave within the rebellious state are and hereforward should be free. That was a lies, a deception. On September 22nd, 1862, President Abraham Lincoln issued the preliminary Emancipation Proclamations, which declared that as of January 1st, 1863, all slaves in the state currently engaged in rebellions. Listen carefully. For those who think Abraham Lincoln was freed from slavery, I want you to listen carefully. On September 22, 1862, President Abraham Lincoln issued the petitionary Emancipation Proclamations, which declared that as of January 1st, 1863, all slaves on the state currently engaged in rebellions against the unions shall be them as for forever free. Only those who are engaged in rebellions against the unions shall be then henceforward and forever free. Listen the words, what he used. All slaves in the state currently engaged in rebellions against the unions shall be then there henceforward and forever free. He was not free the slave, he legalized the slave. Lincoln did not actually free in all the approximately 4 million men and women and children holding slavery in the United States of America when he signed formal emancipation proclamations. The following January, the document applied only to slave people in the Confederacy and not to those in the border states that remain loyal to the unions. So all them is politics. It's not real, it's a fake. Lincoln did not actually free and all the slaves, approximately 4 million men and women and children holding slaves in the United States when Abraham signed formal emancipation proclamations the following January. The document applied only to slave people in the Confederacy and not to those in the border state that remain loyal to the unions. In August 1862, my paramount object is this: His struggle is to save the unions. And it's not either to save or to destroy slavery. Lincoln writes in the additional published and the Daily National's Intelligence. If I could save the unions without free any slave, that's Abraham Lincoln. For those who thinking Abraham Lincoln free slavery, that's not true, it's lies. In 1862, Abraham Lincoln said, if I could save the unions, that was his own greed, his own agenda, not concerning the slave, because he owned the slave himself. He issued a proclamation. If I could save the unions without freeing any slave, I will do it. And if I could save the unions without freeing any slave, I will do it. And if I could save the union without free any slave, I will do it. And if I could save it by freeing all the slaves, I will do it. And if I could save it by freeing some and leaving others alone, I will also do that. Lincoln personally hates slaves. That's not true. He was loved a slave and considered slavery is immoral. That was a game played by both parties. If the Negro, that's why he was called you Negro. That means you are not an American, you are a Negro. He called you Negro. Okay, he can free you, and because he don't have no respect for you. He called you Negro. Negro is a man. Then, my ancient faith teach me that all men are created equal, and that there can be no moral rights in connection with one man making a slave or another. Listen the phrase he used. It's not too many people going to understand that. Because those people, they are going to law. They know about the law. They're writing according to the language they're speaking. Not everybody going to be understand when a lawyer is speaking. Lincoln personally loved slavery and considered slavery it was immoral. If the Negro is a man, why then my ancient faith teach me that all men are created equal? Where the scriptures say all men are created equal. Show me the verse, please. I want everybody to show me where all men are created equal. And that there can be no moral right in connections with one man making a slave or another. Lincoln said that in Peoria, Illinois in 1854. But Lincoln did not believe the Constitution gave the federal government the power to legalize slavery. And the state where it already exists. And this first inaugural address in early 1861, Abraham Lincoln declared that he had no purpose directly or indirectly to intervene with slavery in a state where it exists, Confederate state of America. Confederate States of America. My friends, those of you who are born in this country pretend you are thinking you are an American. You are not an American. That's why they call you African American. You are born in a country. You don't born in Africa. You don't even know who Africa is. Long time they used to call you Negro. Now they call you African Americans. Why they call you African Americans? Why they don't call you Americans? Because you are slave. Your ancestors was bring here on sheep. Was I Yahweh said to you, if you do not obey all my commandments and my statute, my judgment, and my instruction, I will send you back to Egypt. And the way, on the trip you will never see again. There you will sell yourself as a slave, meant as a slave woman, and no one will want to buy you. 4th of July, Independence Day. 4th of July become a federal holiday. The 4th of July, also known as Independence Day, has been a federal holiday on the United States since 1941. But the tradition of Independence Day celebrations go back to the 18th century and the American revolutions on July the 2nd, 1776. America never take independence on July 4th, 1776. That was a lie. Tonight, you're going to hear a lot of things you never hear before in your whole life. If there's any questions, do not ask any question. But after the sessions, you can call, asking. If you want to get the second one, you can request it also, which is too good to be true. The 4th of July, also known as Independence Day. July the 4th has been a federal holidays. Federal holidays in the United States since 1941. But the traditions of Independence Day celebrate go back to the 18th century and the American revolutions on July the 2nd, 1776. America never take independence on July the 4th. America take independence on July the 2nd. And this is not independence anyway. On July the 2nd, 1776, the Continental Congress vote in favor of independence, and 2 days later, the delegate from 13 colonies and historic documents drafted by Thomas Jefferson from 1776 to the present day, July 4th has been celebrated as the birth of Americans' independence, with festivities ranging from fireworks, parades, concerts, to move cultural family, gathering and barbecue. The 1st of July 2020 is on Saturday. You're going to choose which one you're going to celebrate. Remember the Sabbath day, or you're going to celebrate of July the 4th on the Sabbath day. Let's see. A history of Independence Day. The initial battle of the Revolutionary War broken out in April 1775. Few colonies decide completed independence from Great Britain. They was breaking, they devoted to blocking the independence from Great Britain. And those who did were considered radical. By the middle of the following year, however, many more colonies has come to the favor of independence thanks to growing hostility against Britain and the spread of revolutionary sentiment, such as the thanks expressed in the best-selling pamphlet Common Sense, polluted by Thomas Prince in early 1776. On June 7, when the Continental Congress met at the Pennsylvania State House, later Independence Hall in Philadelphia, the Virginia delegates, U.S.A. and Lee, introduced the notion reason for the colony's independence. Amid heated debate, Congress postponed the vote on Lee resolutions, but appointed a 5-man committee, including Thomas Jefferson of Virginia, John Adams of Massachusetts, Roger Sims of Connecticut, Benjamin Franklin of Pennsylvania, and Robert R. Livingston of New York to draft a formal statement shortening the breaks with Great Britain. Did you know John Adams believed that July the 2nd was the correct date and wished to celebrate the birth of American independence? The birth of American independence. So if you are an African American, you don't say the birth of to celebrate the birth of African Americans. It's the birth to celebrate the Americans' independence. You are African Americans. That means you are not an Americans. And Wool reportedly turned down invitations to appear at July 4th. He even protested. Adam Thomas Jefferson both died on July the 4th, 1826. Listen carefully. You're a bunch of fools, stupid. When you celebrate July the 4th, it's not the independence of the United States of America. When you celebrate July the 4th, you celebrate the death of Adam and Thomas Jefferson. Both died on July 4th, 1826. The 50th anniversary of the adoption of the Declaration of Independence. On July the 2nd, the Continental Congress vote in favor of Lee resolution from independence, and near an unanimous vote, the New York delegation abstained but later voted affirmatively. On that day, John Adams wrote to his wife Abigail that July the 2nd will be the celebration by succeeding generations as the great anniversary for the United States of America to become a country in its own. Is that day should include parades, sport, games, bells, and illuminations from one of the continent to the others. On July the 4th, the Continental Congress formally adopted the Declaration of Independence, which has been written largely by Jefferson. To the vote for actually independence took place on July the 2nd. From on the 4th, because the day that was celebrated as the birth of Americans' independence when you are an African Americans. Barely 4th of July celebration. On the pre-revolutionary years, colonial has had annual celebrations of the king birthday. Which king? That was kings of England, king of Britain, which traditionally included the ringings of bell, bonfire, processions, speech makings, by controversy during the summer of 1776. Some colonies celebrate the birth of independence by holding for King George III as a way of symbolizing the end of monarchy. He hold on America as the triumph of liberty. Liberty for what? For the slave or for the masters? Favoritisms including concerts, bonfire, parades, and the firing of cannons, muskets, and usually accompany the first of public readings of the Declaration of Independence, beginning immediately after its adoption. Philadelphia held the first amendment commemorations of independence on July 4th, 1777, while Congress was still as occupied with the Oregon War. George Washington issued double rations to all who soldiers to mark the anniversary of independence in 1776 and 1781, several months before the key and the victory to the battle of the fake independence of the United States of America. My friends, my beloved Israelites, no matter where you are, when you celebrate July the 4th, you do not celebrate the Independence Day of America. You celebrate the death of two presidents who died in 1826. You not celebrate what he told you. It will be reported turned down invitation to protest it. Even protest Adam and Thomas Jefferson both died on July the 4th, 1826. Adam and Thomas Jefferson both died on July the 4th, 1826. If you are celebrate July the 4th, you are celebrate the death of Adams and the death of Thomas Jefferson. You are not celebrate the independence of the birth of the United States of America. That is lies and it's conspiracy. They don't tell you the truth. The United States of America take independence on July the 2nd, not independence. They break the treaty from Great Britain July the 2nd, 1776. They break it, but they don't get no independence. Until today, the United States of America is still dependent on Great Britain. All the taxes you are paid, they are go to the Queen. That's why we always in debt, because they don't tell you the truth. My friends, there is so many deception going on and all over the scripture. If the children of Israel has to celebrate July the 4th, where you leave behind the April the 14th, let's take the book of 2 Corinthians 9 chapter verse 1. So all Israel was unrolled by a genealogy, and behold, they are written in the book of the king of Israel, was carried away into exile to Babylon for their own faithfulness. Israel, the only thing you have to ask in yourself, why are you doing in Egypt? Why you are here for? You think you can get the same right to vote? You are African Americans. You are not an Americans. Even you born here, you don't have the same right. Remember, they give you a fake right to vote, but it's not on the Constitution because you are a slave. Your vote never be counted. You are a slave. You are a foreigner. You are a stranger of the land. How can you vote in the country, or can you get the same right when you are in exile, when you are a slave? when you are in bondage, when you are in captivities. You are here for 400 years, Israel. Until your 400 years is accomplished, for Yahweh to rescue you, you can march, you can protest it, you can never get this priority to have the same right with your master. Because Yahweh put you here because of your rebellions. 2 Chronicles 36 chapter verse 20. Those who are escaped from the sword, they carry away to Babylon, and they were a servant to him and to his son until he ruled on the king of Persia. Israel, if you are a slave, how come today you can get the same right with your master? Let's take the book of Yeshayahu with the book of Isaiah, 5 chapter verse 13. Therefore my people go into exile for the lack of understanding. And the honorable men are famished, and the multitude is parched with thirst. Israel, listen what Yahweh said to you. You go to exile, you are in Babylon, the great United States of America, U.S.A., United States of America, U.S.A., under Satan authority. So you are under Satan authority, Israel. That's why they're mistreating you. That's why they're oppressing you. Because you must accomplish the fulfillment of the 400 years. The last verse of Genesis, and Deuteronomy 28:68, the last verse. And I say, if you do not obey all my commandments and my statute, I will send you back to Egypt. I will send you back where? To Egypt. Where you're going to go and ship. There is a trip you will never forget in your life. And you will never make that trip again. There you will sell yourself or offer yourself to sell as male and female slave. And no one will be able to buy you. Israel, asking yourself a question. Why you are in the land of the United States of America? Which land by Yahweh say he will give to your forefathers? United States of America or the land of Canaan? Let's take a look to see which land Abba was promised to your forefathers. He will give them and their descendants forever. Let's see. The book of Genesis 13 chapter verse 17. Get up and walk around the land of Canaan to his length and breadth, for I am giving it to you. My friends, Abba will promise the children of Israel, Abraham, he's going to give the land of Canaan, not the state of the United States of America alone. The state of America take birth in July the 2nd, 1776. But the holidays have been made official in 1941. That's the time the United States of America celebrate a fake of independence. When you celebrate July the 4th, this is sad. This is very, very sad. When you see along those people has been used for the agenda of those leaders. No leaders ever tell you the truth. The leaders just see only one thing, the agenda. They have a street named by their names. They have a library. You're still in slavery. But they make money of you. For account, all these leaders, Martin Luther King, no one told you the truth. You are a slave. There is only one promised land. It's the land of Canaan. The United States of America is not your land. When they say to you, I have a dream, I have a dream. I I see the promised land. Which land it was the promised land? It was not America. Abba Yahweh has never promised to Abraham, Isaac, and Israel the land, the state of United States of America. But instead, Abba promised to Abraham, and later to Isaac, and later to Yaakov, who become Israel, the land of Canaan, but not the state of the United States of America. If Abba Yahweh do not give your forefathers the lands, the state of the United States of America, how can you think you can get the same right? Or can you think you have the right to vote? Or you think you have the right to protest it? You are a slave. You are a foreigner. You are just like a tourist. Your 400 years Israel. Remember, Malachi 3 chapter verse 6. Abba say, I am Yahweh, I change not. That is the reason why the children of Israel has not already consumed or destroyed. Your 400 years Israel is not even half a land. Your 400 years, if Abba Yahweh say he will send you back to Egypt, there's a lot of people saying slavery already ended since 2019. Wrong. You do not know when you was in slavery. You have a lot of ways to go. So tonight, Abba is going to reveal to you something, and your leaders never told you because they lead according to the flesh, not according to the spirit. If the last book of Deuteronomy, 28 chapter verse 68, Abba will say, if you do not obey all my commandments, Israel, do not walk in according to the way I'm commanding you to do, I will send you back to Egypt. Which country who are represented a physical Egypt? Which country? Please, somebody. Abba will tell the children of Israel, I will send you back to Egypt. Anybody, please, I want you to present to me, please, which country will represent Egypt? Please, somebody, please. Which country will represent Egypt? Somebody, please, project it for me. Which country will represent Egypt in this world? Which country who are physical Egypt? When Yahweh say, I will send you back to Egypt, that not physical Egypt, that not spiritual Egypt, that is physical Egypt. Which country today will represent Egypt? Which country? Please, somebody. Someone, please. I want an answer. Let me see what your leaders teach you. Which country will represent the physical Egypt? When Yahweh said to the children of Israel, I will send you back to Egypt. I will send you back to Egypt. How can Abraham Lincoln can set you free when you have to spend 400 years as a slave because of your disobedience? Remember, there is nothing new under the sun. Everything you see there already exists. The same thing was happened to the children of Israel on the time of Pharaoh. It's not an accident you see those happen today because you do not know why you are here in the United States of America. Why they call you African Americans. Why they call you Haitians Americans. Why they call you Mexican Americans. Why they call you Jamaicans Americans. Why they call you Hondurans Americans. If you are a citizen, they can call you an American, but they never call you an American. They want to tell you, hey, I give you the privilege to be in this country, but this country is not yours. That's why Trump say, if you don't like it, get back to your country. If you don't like it, that's like President Trump say, if you don't like it, get back to your country. That's the reason why Trump say he do not accept the shitty old country in this country no more. He want to tell you, they want to tell you, you are an Africans. You are not an Americans. You have no right to be here. They give you privilege as a slave to build the country. Just like the children of Israel over 3,500 years ago, that's in, they spent 400 years to build Egypt. That's the same thing. United States of America is the land of Egypt. United States of America is not the promised land. When somebody said to you, I have a dream, I have a dream, I see the promised land, I see one day black and white, purple and yellow, silver and gold, corporates and things, Protestant and Catholic, Jews and Gentile gonna be one, all them as a bunch of lies. They have their own dream, but that was not Yahweh's dream. When they see the promised land, United States is not the land, the promised land Yahweh gave to Abraham, Yitzhak, and Israel. Let's take the book of Genesis, 15 chapter, verse 8. On that day, Yahweh make a covenant with Abraham, saying to your descendant, I give in the land of Canaan, from the river of Egypt, to the great river of Euphrates. My friends, my beloved, Abaya will never promise to Abraham's, Isaac, and Israel, his descendant, the state of the United States of America as the promised land. Neither Abaya will never promise the children of Israel, the state of Israel as the promised land. Instead, Abaya will give my forefathers Abraham the land of Canaan, later make the same promise to Isaac, and then make the same promise to Yaakov, who become later Israel, the 12th tribe of Israel. I am one of the descendants of the tribe of Israel from the tribe of Levites. So tonight, it's a night for the children of Israel to remember. You cannot be celebrate and participate in July the 4th if you are not a citizen of this world. You are not a citizen of the United States of America. They call you Africans, Americans. They call you Negro. Why they call you Negro? Why they call you Africans, Americans? When you born in this country, and now you protested, and you gonna celebrate July the 4th, Israel, you better be wake up before it's too late. You are not in the promised land yet. You get 400 years. Remember, you're not even on the half length of the 400 years. You must be oppressed or mistreated because of your disobedience. Abba don't send you here to feel Mrs. Feel Good or Mr. Feel Good. No, Abba will send you here to pay your disobedience, what you're doing to him. Because you always rebel against Abba Yahweh, you refuse to listen to him. He said, okay. Yahweh say, if you refuse to observe my commandment, I will make you serve your enemies. Those who are preaching about black and white purple, it's not about black and white purple, it's about Yahweh gonna make you pay no matter what. If Yahweh can use a donkey to talk to his own prophet, Yahweh can use anybody he feel like. He is the creator. Yahweh is a Donald shall kill, but he can use anybody to kill. Because he is the creator of life. Yahweh say, I am here. Beside me, there is no other. I'm the one who give life, and I'm the one who take life. I'm the one who wound, and I'm the one who heal. No one can save you or can rescue you out of my hand. My friends, the book of Genesis 23, chapter 4. I am a stranger and an outsider among you. Give me a burial site among you so that I can bury my dead. My friends, they've been lied to us. It's a promised land. It's the land of freedom. This is not America. This is not Egypt. About 6 to the children of Israel. I will send you back to Egypt. They told you it's a promised land, the land of freedom. That's the land of slave for the children of Israel. It might be the land of freedom for those others, but not for the children of Israel. The United States of America, Egypt, Babylon the Great is not a land of freedom for the children of Israel. It's a land who was not filled with milk and honey. It's a land filled with prejudice, racism, discriminations, sorrow, pains, and agony. The land Abaya will promise as a promised land. The land filled with milk and honey is not the United States of America, but it is the land of Canaan. The book of Genesis, 25 chapter verse 11. After the death of Abraham, Yahweh blessed his son Isaac, to whom lived nearby Erah and the land of Canaan. My friends, they told us to buy house. They told us to buy everything in this country. They lied to us. If you are a stranger and you are an outsider, you don't supposed to be on anything in this land because it's not your land. They give you a privilege as a slave to work, to build it. But you have no right. Those who think they have a right is because you're out of your mind. You are an African American. Tell me one Caucasians they give name. They don't call them Negro. They don't call them European Americans. They don't call the Jewish Americans. They call them Jewish, no matter where they born. But you born in this country, they call you African Americans. And you thinking you have the right? Are you have a common sense? Are you use common sense, Israel? Why they call you African Americans? Why they call you Negro? Even Martin Luther King was used to be called you Negro. It's not a shame to call you Negro because it's about agenda, it's about money, greed, and selfishness. I have a dream. You see the promised land. What the promise in America? White and purple and red gonna work together? No way. Not there. A slave cannot never be equal with his master. A slave gonna be always a slave. Your master supposed to be Yahweh, but you disobey him. Now it's okay. I will make you serve your enemy. They lied to you from A to Z. They told you July the 4th is the Independence Day of America. When you celebrate July the 4th, you celebrate the death of Adam and Jefferson and Thomas Jefferson. They told you nothing but lies. A mountain of lies. A single of truth can crumble the mountains of lies. My friend, when we take the book of Genesis, the only thing we should be by here is buy a place to bury your dead. But to buy house, to buy a land, nobody can own nothing in the United States of America because you are a slave. You are a foreigner. You are an outsider. You are an African American. Knowing who you are, Israel. Existence and purpose in you. You are not an American. You are an African. Africa doesn't exist. They create the word Africa. Because the land is Ethiopia. Because the first people who conquered the land of Ethiopia, his name is Africanos, and they give the continent is named Africa. But Africa doesn't exist. Africa nowhere to be found on the scripture, but Ethiopia is found on the scripture. Ethiopia, that's the way the Garden of Eden was, is not in Africa. Africa is the other deceptions give to the nations who give birth on July the 4th, 1776. They changed all the names in order to mislead you to lies. I have a dream. I see the promised land. America is not the promised land. One nation under God, one nation under Satan. It cannot be one nation under Yahweh. Only one nation supposed to be under Yahweh is only the nation of Israel. The book of Genesis 26, chapter verse 24. That night Yahweh appeared to Isaac and said, I am Yahuweh, the father of your father Abraham. Do not be afraid, for I am with you. I will bless you, and I will increase you the number of your descendants for the sake of my servant Abraham. And Yahweh appeared to Isaac the same night and said, I am Yahweh, the father of Abraham, your father. Fear not, for I am with you, and I will bless you and multiply you and your descendant for my servant Abraham's sake. Yahweh appeared to Isaac and said, do not go down to Egypt. That's only the first person who don't go to Egypt, Isaac. But all the prophets, our forefathers, Yaakov, Abraham, even Yeshua has to go to Egypt. There is only one person who don't go to Egypt. It's only Isaac. But otherwise, everybody go to Egypt. Just like today. Every single person on the face of the world, they have to come in the United States of America. So America is a physical Egypt. When Abba Yahweh said to the children of Israel, I will send you back to Egypt. This is what you get from Egypt, my friend. How can you get the good treatment when you should be slave, when you are in captivities, when you are in bondage, knowing why you are here, Israel? The question to ask, if you not protested or march against black and white, is to know your limitation, knowing who you are. You are an Africans. You are not an Americans, Israel. Why they call you Africans, Americans? You better be wake up before it's too late. You're spending all the money by buying big house, big cars, collections. It's up to help your own people because you are a slave. The master give you, he pay you for entitlement. You get to spend what it's given to you. That's why you have to serve your enemies. You get to enslave by the masses. Most of the athletes, what do you see they have as wife? A Caucasians. Why? Because of the curse. And when they have a wife as a Caucasian or they have a husband as the Caucasian, who control? The Caucasian has to control. Because you are an African American. You do not know your limitations. You do not know who you are. You do not know why you are here, Israel. You are enslaved. You are in bondage. You are in captivity for 400 years. I will send you back to Egypt. Even Prophet Jeremiah died in Egypt. Yeshua has to go to Egypt, hiding because of Herod tried to kill him. So today, you see every single person all over the world. They coming in the United States of America because they know America is the promised land. They know America is the land of freedom, not its land of slave. How they treat you. They treat you as slave because you are a slave. And a slave is a slave. Only Yahshua can set you free, my friend. If Yahshua cannot set you free, you cannot set yourself free. You can protest it. You can march, 1 million march. You can sleep on the White House. Do you think President Trump give a damn about you? No. Do you know what confederacy mean? You know what confederacy mean. When you know what confederacy mean, you're going to be open up and see. Confederacy is a group of people who against people to get out from slavery. The confederacy want you to be slave. And you are a slave. You get to build America. That's why you are here for. Just that when at the time the children of Israel was in Mitzrayim, they built Egypt. They own you nothing because Yahweh sent you to discipline you. So those people has to know. Those NBA stars, the NBA, or whatever you take, you have to know your position. You are a slave. They pay you for entitlement. The money you should be buying is only to buy a place to bury your dead one. But to buy a big house, $20 million house, and your people are dying, starvation, poverty, and you collect millions of cars, and you call yourself now one life, Black Lives Matter. Since when? You're killing one another. Because you fight between one another. There is a division amongst. Messiah 2,000 years ago stated, kingdom divide against kingdom cannot be stand. It's just been desolation. The United States of America on this story have been lied to the children of Israel for almost 2,000 years ago. They give you a fake Independence Day. They told you Independence Day is this time and this day. By the time they began apart in the new parties of the 1820s and 1830s and consider themselves inheritors of Jefferson's and Democratic Republicans, printed a copy of the Declaration began to circulate again, and with the date of July the 4th, 1776, listed as the top of the death of Thomas Jefferson and John Adams on July the 4th, 1826. When you celebrate the July the 4th, you do not celebrate the independence of the United States of America. You instead celebrate the death of Thomas Jefferson and John Adams, who died on July the 4th, 1826. May even have helped to promote the ideas of July 4th as an important date to be celebrated when they lied to you, because America took independence on July the 2nd, 1776. It's not independence, it's just break, a fake break, but they still under the Great Britain's power. Celebration of the 4th of July become more common to all the years went on in 1870, almost 100 years after the declarations was written. Congress first declared July 4th. Congress is the one who declared July the 4th to be a national holiday as part of a bill to officially recognize several holidays as including Christmas and New Year's. For the legislations about national holidays, including July the 4th, was passed in 1931 and 1941. Genesis 15 chapter, verse 13. Then Yahweh said to Abraham, know for certain that for 400 years your descendant will be a stranger in a country not their own, and that they will be a slave and mistreated there. Israel, Abba Yahweh will repeat the story still itself. There is nothing new under the sun. If anyone tell you there is something young, Tell him, no, there's nothing new. That's the reason why Abba will say he appointed a time for everything, a time. The book of Genesis, 12th chapter, verse 7. Yahweh appeared to Abraham and said, I will give the land of Canaan to your descendants as and Abraham's built an altar there to Yahweh who appeared to him. The book of Exodus, 1st chapter, verse 11. So the Egyptians appointed taskmasters over the Israelites to oppress them with forced labor. As a result, they built pittance and ranches as store cities for Pharaoh. The working the Israelites worthless things. Exodus 2 chapter verse 24. So Yahweh heard the cry, and Yahweh remembered his covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov. I don't see the name of Martin Luther King on the scripture, but I see the name of Moshe. So it's a time for the children of Israel to wake up. Your leader has been misled you. Your leader has been lead you in the wrong directions. All your leader has been make you more slavery in order for them to make money. When they say white people make you slave, it's not white people. Before that's happened, I will tell the children of Israel, I will send you back to Israel. I will make you serve your enemy. Abba Yahweh is the author of life. He can give and take and do whatever he please. The book of Exodus 3 chapter verse 8. I have come down to rescue my people, the children of Israel, from the list of the Egyptians, and to bring them up out of that, the land of Canaan, to good its springs, the land of Canaan and land flowing with milk and honey. The house of the Canaanites, the house of the Hittites, the house of the Amorites, the house of the Perizzites, the house of the Hivites, the house of the Jebusites, and the house of the Jebusites. Not Edomites, not Esomites. Yahweh said to the children of Israel, I have come down to rescue you until your 400 years do not fulfill Israel. You must be oppressed, and you must pay the price, the consequence of your disobedience against your Creator. If you have anyone to blame, blame yourself. Start by participating, by celebrating any pagan's holidays. That's the reason why Abba will say, come out of her, my people, if you do not want to be partaker in her sin and to share in her plagues. My people are dying daily. Why? Because they won't listen. They want to do whatever they please in the enemy territory. You are not in your country. You are in Africans Americans. You are in Haitians Americans. You are Mexicans Americans. You are Jamaicans Americans. You are Honduran Americans. Whatever they call you, where you coming from. So those NBA stars, the whatever you think, when you are Africans American, you still admit it. You are African Americans. So if you are admitted, you are an African Americans. So what makes you thinking you're going to get the same rights with those who call themselves Americans? Because you are a slave. When they say you are African American, say this country is not yours. That's why Trump said, if you don't like it, get back to your country. Get back to Africa. That's why I told you. Because he knows this country is not for you. You are a slave. They bring you out here for slave Israel. But you're wasting your time. You're wasting your time. So because of that, so yes, they can be equal when they are slave. You cannot be equal right. There is no such equal right. There is no such equal right. There is no such civil right. Just like Abraham Lincoln say, all men create equal. There is no man create equal. We all unique and are by our side. No man create equal. There is people 5 feet. There is people 3 feet. There's people 100 pounds. There's people 400 pounds, 500 pounds. There is short people. There is tall people. There's medium people. Yahweh give me a gift. It's not everybody Yahweh give that gift, that talent. How can all men create equal? If all men create equal, we all gonna do the same thing. Shoe shine, or carpenter, or fisherman. Why Abba Yahweh make so many kind of flavor? Abba Yahweh can just say, okay, let's just create vanilla. Just give you one flavor. But Abba Yahweh give all kind of flavor because he want a mixture. Now for a person to say all men create equal, that's a bunch of lies. That's a bunch of misinterpretation. No man create equal. No man can get the equal right because you not create equal. Are you a Daniel? No, you are not Daniel. Are you have the same talent, the same gift Abba will give it to me? No. As a tree, there is a tree. There is north side, there is west, there is south, there is east. If a tree have a 4 ways, even the tree give fruit, all the fruit in different direction, they taste different. The same tree, but the fruit cannot taste the same. Because there is some who face east, there is some who face west, there is some who face south, and there is some who face north. Each one of the tree of the fruit has a different kind of taste. The same tree, just like we tonight, as the branches of a tree, we might be growing in different directions, but at the end, we all remain as one. We divided. How can we can succeed when we are divided? When you are a slave, you get to know your limitation. Start by fighting for equal right. I don't see no verses say equal right. Do Abba Yahweh give you a commandment, Israel, to follow? What Abba Yahweh will command of you, Israel? Abba Yahweh said to fear Yahweh, to obey Abba Yahweh commandments, to love Yahweh with all your might, with all your strength, and to serve Yahweh. Are you serving Yahweh? Are you obeying Yahweh commandments? Are you fear Yahweh? So if you don't fear Yahweh, for the scripture say, the fear of Yahweh is the beginning of wisdom and understanding. My friends, we has been deceived. The book of Genesis 26 chapter verse 2. Yahweh appeared to Isaac and said to him, do not go down to Egypt, and stay here in the land of Canaan, of which I so told you. Sojourn in the land of Canaan, and I will be with you and bless you. For to you and to your descendants I will give all this land of Canaan, and I will establish my covenant, the oath which I swore to your father. I will give you the land of Canaan. Whoever told you they have a dream, they have a dream. They see the promised land. They see one day, black and white, purple and yellow, Jewish and Gentiles, and Catholic and Jewish, and so we're going to be together. That's a bunch of lies. Clay cannot mix with iron. Clay never gonna mix with iron. In the book of Genesis, Abba always said to the serpent, I will put an enmity between that seed and your seed. Don't listen to the false leaders who get only one appetite, is to make an agenda, to make a name for their own self, but do have nothing to do with Yahweh. They die, they're still making money. They have a street name, they received Nobel Peace Prize, but the children of Israel is still living in oppression, and slavery, and bondage. When they have a street, they have a library name and their names. Do not follow those blind leaders. Yahweh says he has appointed a time. There is nothing hiding under the sun, and one day we're not going to make known to you. Whatever is hiding under the birches, Abba will promise you one day he will let them proclaim on the top of the roof, and anybody can listen and hear that. Start by celebrating the death of Thomas Jefferson and the death of Adams. They've been lied to you. The United States of America never take independence on July the 4th. When you celebrate July the 4th, you ordained a feast, a celebration of Thomas Jefferson and Adams. My friends, it's a time now for the children of Israel. If you have to celebrate, remember Abba Yahweh say, April the 14th is the day to remember when he was rescued you from the land of Israel, from the land of Egypt. Remember, the children of Israel has been wandering for over 40 years, when the trip supposed to be only 3 days, from Egypt to the land of Canaan, the land full with milk and honey, the promised land Abba was given to the children of Israel. But over 5 million people who leave Egypt were not including infants, children, and women. But only 2 originated from Egypt who make it. Even Moshe himself don't make it. That's the reason why many are called, but only few are chosen. Those who are invited before never have a chance to celebrate the feast of the wedding of the king. Just like some of you will not see the promised land. Moses has the opportunity to see it, even if he do not enter. But most of you, because of unfaithfulness, because your conduct, your behavior, and your attitudes, you must be changed them before it's too late. Otherwise, the same thing was happening 3,500 years ago on the wilderness. The same thing gonna be happening. Abba are gonna rescue you. After the 400 years, remember, America take independence in 1776. You get 400 years for you to be in captivity and slavery. Those who are wise, let them calculate the number. I will send you back to Egypt. What year America take independence? Those who think in the 400 years, so the children of Israel were in slavery on 1619. In 2019, they should be free from slavery. You got a long way to go. You better take a zip, put in your mouth, or put a duct tape in your mouth. Stop by saying things you do not know. You do not know when the children of Israel entering into covenant with Yahweh. You do not when Abba Yahweh aside them to make the 400 years. So they don't even have a length of the 400 years to be accomplished. You just start. And this is the beginning. My friends, may Abba Yahweh bless you. May Abba Yahweh bless all of you who listen to the message, who learn something. Abba Yahweh, thank you for all your people. You try to awaken it. They've been lied to for almost 2,000 years of religion deceptions. Abba Yahweh, thank you, Abba Yahweh, for everything you have been revealed to your people, to your YAHUWEH. Abba Yahweh, thank you for all those who are willing to step and to stop by sleep with all the pagans' holidays. As they see where the oppressor have been oppressed them, what happened to them, or they keep them just like birds, or they mistreating them, they oppress them. Let's see if this July the 4th going to be happen on Saturday, what they're going to try to do. If they're going to observe this Sabbath, or they're going to get fireworks, barbecues, parades, and then parties, and dancing, and every sets, and drinkings. Let's see what they're going to do. Israel, you have to remember one thing. On the time of ignorance, our Yahweh overlook at it, but now command it every man, no matter where they are on the four corner of the earth, to repent from their wicked ways. Because our Yahweh has already appointed a time to judge those who are refused to listen to his word. Our Yahweh, whoever the ears to hear, please bless them. Who honor you, please honor them. Who overlove you, because that's why it was required from Israel. Israel, Yahweh required of you to fear him, to obey his commandment, to love him, to serve him with all your might, with all your soul, with all your beings, and with all your strength. That's the reason why 2,000 years ago, Yahushuah said, if you love me, obey my commandment. July the 4th, nowhere to be found on the commandments. But I see April the 14th, you must observe it. April the 14th, as a permanent statute for you, because this is the day our Yahweh will rescue you from the land of Mizraim, not July the 4th. Jeffersons never set a slave free. Jefferson had been legalized slavery because it was on the favor of the unions. So it was never intended to free the slave. There is a game playing. They always play that game even today about Democrats, Republicans, and independents. They are the same as one. But you're thinking Democrat is for you, Republican against you, or independence. No. They just chose to make you believe some things they created in your mind. But deep down inside, it's just a game. Stop by listening to people to go to vote. You are not an Americans. Your vote doesn't count. Don't waste your time. You are not a citizen of the United States of America. You are an African Americans. You are an Haitian Americans. You are a Mexican American. You are a Jamaican Americans. You are a Nicaraguan Mexicans. Whatever they told you you are an Africans. You are not an Americans. So you have no rights. If you don't have no rights, how can you get the equal right? How can you asking for justice when you are a slave? A slave cannot be asking for justice. You are a slave, you are a slave. Only one person who can give you justice. It's only YAHUWEH MESSIAH. If Yahshua sets you free, you are indeed free. My friends, it's all for you to know your limitation as a slave. It's all for you to know, to be in your knees, begging our Yahweh for forgiveness, fast and prayer, not to participate in any pagan's holidays because you know you're born in this country and you are an Americans. But they know better than that. That's why they call you Africans Americans. At the time of the children of Israel, there's only 70 who went to Egypt. But when they come out, they must multiply as the sea sands on the shore, as the stars as Yahweh was promised to Abraham. They cannot count them. They was over-number the Egyptians. That's why they was hate them, because they over-multiply. So because of the tax masters say, these people are more powerful than us. Let's oppress them. The more they oppress them, is the more children they make. But you listen to them, you cut abortions, birth pain controls, you use condoms, you kill, you do all kind of things. How can you get them? My friends, there is no such black and white. That doesn't exist. So this is for other times. So there is no black. I'm not black. I am an Yisraelite. So when you go to any places, they told you to file application as African Americans, squash it down. Tell them you are an Israelite. You are not an African Americans. It's a time now for the children of Israel to rise. Rise, O house of Israel. Because your king is coming to deliver you. Stand for your right. It's better to die for something and to live for nothing. Die for something. Die for your belief. You are of the house of Israel. Stop by letting people call you African Americans. You are not an African American. You are an Israelite. Time for change, Israel. Not change as Obama changed. That's why Trump say he want to make America great again. Because if America was just like on the 50s, on the 60s, Obama can be never on the White House as a president. Now he won the campaign again. He say, I want to keep America great. That means for the KKK to be just like it was on the 50s, on the 60s. Know your place, Israel. Trump bring wars for a reason. Trump don't give a damn about you. How many who die every day? How many who live every day? Everybody know who is Trump. And Abaya will never use a weak king. He always used a wicked king. Just like Pharaoh, King Nebuchadnezzar, Trump, to just name a few. Abaya we're going to use a king in order to mistreat you. Because you will set him as a king. May Abaya be with you. Abaya will bless those who bless you. Honor those who honor you. About all those who have eyes, they can see, they can read. All those who can hear Abaya, who can hear your words, I'm asking you to bless them, to preserve them, to guard them, and to lead them. About for those who let you be the driver of their life, I'm asking you to provide for them, Abaya. Those who are sick, I'm asking you to heal them. Those who are in need, that's why you are Ayah that Ayah. I can be whatever you want me to be. Ayah, Ashe, Ayah. Abaya, I'm asking you, whatever they need, whatever, you already know everything. You say, look at the birds. Do they are working? No, but your Father, feed them. Look at the lilies who are on the field. They dress better than Solomon. They do not work, but your Father dress them. If your Father can dress them, do not worry about tomorrow. What you gonna eat? What you gonna eat? Seek ye first the kingdom of Yahweh and all its righteousness. Then everything will add unto you. Seek you first. Seek ye first the kingdom of Yahweh and all its righteousness, and everything will add unto you. May Abba Yahweh be with you. Abba Yahweh, those who support, those Abba Yahweh who donated in your ministries, those Abba Yahweh who help your ministries, for those who are everywhere on the world who have been misled and deceived and lied to, make your ministry arise, support your ministry. For every single person on the earth, we're not going to let or leave behind without knowing the truth. Abba Yahweh, 2,000 years ago, Messiah said, I am the way, I am the life, and I am the truth. No man go to my Father but except through me. Abba Yahweh, I'm asking you to bless those who support your ministries. Open up all the 7 stages on the paradise, all the doors and the windows, and shower them with your blessing for them to always have enough to bless your ministry and to bless others who Satan has keep on captives, for those who are perished, for all those who are born to be slave. Abba Yahweh, I don't pray you, I'm asking you as your servant, in the name of Yahushuah MESSIAH. May Abba Yahweh bless you and keep you. May Abba Yahweh keep his face shine upon you, be gracious to you. May Abba Yahweh lift its countenance upon you and give you shalom. B'Shem Yahushuah MESSIAH. B'Shem Yahushuah MESSIAH. In the name of Yahushuah MESSIAH, the Prince of Peace. In the name of Yahushuah MESSIAH, the only name who can free you from your bondage, from your slavery. Yahushuah MESSIAH. The name of Yahushuah MESSIAH, the only way who can forgive your sin, Israel, is to know Yahushuah MESSIAH. Trump cannot set you free. Congress cannot set you free. The Senate cannot set you free. Only Yahshua. If Yahshua sets you free, you're going to be free indeed. Like no man can set you free. Only by Yahshua, for Yahshua, and to Yahshua. I am messenger Daniel. Until next time, Shalom Aleichem and Lalai Tov. And Toda Rabba Yahweh. May Abba Yahweh bless all of you. I'll see you next time. Let's go with that music.
This is crazy, man.
What do you think?
It's like every time I look around,
What do you say?
getting some news, somebody died
Really?
in Babylon.
Yes.
Family members, friends, people in the truth that I knew.
What happened?
It's sad, man.
Really? You don't see
Watching the
that
news every day,
Come on.
but you won't believe.
Let's start by celebrating the death of
See what's going on.
Jesus
Babylon.
and the death of Adam.
So many people
July the 4th is not the independence day of the United States of America.
and the answers in that book.
Come out of her, my people.
No, it's written right there in the scriptures, but our people won't listen.
Yes,
They hear the word and they toss it aside.
You just hear the word and touch the side.
In Revelations, it says, come out of
Come out of her.
my people.
Start by celebrating July the 4th, the death of Jeffersons and the death of Adam.
My people, get out before it's too late.
The truth gonna be revealed one day, no matter what.
Come out of her, my people. Get out before it's too late. See you at that mountaintop.
Fireworks, parades, barbecue for what?
Come out of her.
Celebrate the death of Jefferson and Adam. Come out of her, come out. Come out. Start celebrating the death of Adam and Jefferson. Come out of her. That's why July the 4th is all about. It's not the independence day of the United States of America. They won't tell you the truth. There is a time and season. Our Yahweh is appointed for every day. Come out of her. 1. Stop celebrating the death of Jefferson and the death of Adam. July the 4th is not American Independence Day. They will lie to you. Come out. 1. On the time of ignorance, our Yahweh overlooked at
I heard
now.
another voice
What
from
is
heaven
it?
sing, come out of her, my people.
And come out of
Ye
it.
be not partakers of
Come
her
on.
sin,
Tell them.
that ye receive not of her plagues.
Yes. Come on.
Come out of her, my people.
Yes.
Said our people,
They won't listen. Yes, they don't need what they want to say. Blind cannot lead another blind. All your leaders are a bunch of blind. They're just a bunch of dogs. Backing that you appetite to tell the truth. All your leaders, the elders, no matter who they are, the bunch of liars. Not by my mind, not by my power, by the Ruach HaKodesh. The truth gonna cause or gonna help. Oh yes. Get out. Come on, let's run. Come on. Stop by dying. Come on, come out, come on. It's special July the 4th. Come on. Father days, come out of her. Start by following Father days, July the 4th. Father days, our Yahweh is your father. Stop the Babylon score you. Come out of her before it's too late. Come on, Israel. Know who you are. Are you an Israelite? Come on.
If there's one thing I've learned
One thing as Israel.
as an Israelite,
What is Israel mean?
we've got to keep the commandments.
July the 4th is nowhere to be found on the commandments. It's missing in action. That page is missing. July the 4th.
So I got
The death of Jefferson and the death of Adam.
And I saw that I was living wrong. While now, yes I was. Now I do my best to follow these laws.
The death of Thomas Jefferson and the death of John Adams on July the 4th, 1826 is not the Independence Day of Yahweh. They make you celebrate the death of Thomas Jefferson and John Adams, who died on July the 4th, 1826. The idea of July 4th as an important day to be celebrated by Congress, not by Yahweh. Stop by being both side Israel. You can't win. Oh yes. Stop. STP. Yahweh is a stop sign.
This time I'm gonna be faithful.
You have a choice.
That's for sure.
Yes. Yes.
Cause I don't wanna live the way I did before.
Who's gonna pay the price? You're gonna pay the price. Not Satan. You.
I decided I'm a
Talk history.
I don't wanna be the same.
Actions.
I don't wanna
Start by
be the
talking. Put it
same.
into action.
I'ma change my life.
Action speak louder than words.
And even when
Israel, it's a time to get out from your comfort zone.
faithful like he is to me,
Be in your knees. Stop making holidays, party, drinking, barbecue for nonsense.
yes I am. If I stay,
Be in your knees.
stay
Crying for Abba Yahweh.
He'll be faithful to me. He won't let me fall.
Oh yes, you bet. Abba Yahweh will never let you fall down.
I know he loves me because he died for me.
Shema Israel, Shema Israel, Shema Israel, Shema Israel. Listen and pay attention.
I'ma stop playing.
Stop by playing game Israel. Stop celebrating the pagans, the death of Thomas Jefferson and the death of John Adams on July the 4th.
Starting today, I'ma live a different way.
No matter where you are on the four corner of the earth,
Sometimes faithful like he is.
remember the Sabbath day to obey His
Do
Sabbath.
my best.
The day Abba was free you from slavery, it was April the 14th. That's the day to remember forever. I love you. I like to all of you. May Abba Yahweh be with you.